It's time to recap Week 8 in the National Football League. It's Pro Football Weekly's spin cycle. I'm joined by senior editor Eric Edholm to break it all down for you. And Eric, let's get started. What did we learn?
Well, I think we learned the Denver Broncos can play some defense, at least going off the last 6 quarters where Jack Del Rio hadn't really coordinated a defense since the early 2000s, and yet he's gotten this group to play very well. To me, it's a great mix of youth, experience, talent on all 3 levels, and they've shut down the San Diego Chargers at least half the game and the New Orleans Saints in Week 8. So if this defense can play to that level every week, we're talking about a Super Bowl caliber team right now.
And that's a defense that ideally is playing with the lead. You let Von Miller and Elvis Dumervil go after it, and we've seen what that can do in the last 2 games when they have those late leads. And to think they did without Tracy Porter, too. That pass defense played really well against New Orleans. There was not a lot of huge surprises maybe on the field, but as a whole, there's some teams that are surprising you collectively.
Yeah, the biggest surprise for me right now, at the near midpoint of the season, at least for some teams who've played 8 games, it's the fact that the teams picking in the top 8 of the draft this April, they're competitive. The Colts at 4-3. The Redskins much better with Robert Griffin. The Browns, new ownership, won 2 of 3 games now. Vikings have fallen off a little bit, but they're still sitting at 5-3, pushing towards that 500 record at least. So the Jaguars played tough and they lost to Green Bay. Now the Cowboys picked 6, but that was the Rams' choice originally. And even with that bad loss, they're still a competitive team. You talk about the Buccaneers winning 2 of 3, and then the Dolphins, maybe the surprising team of the year, a team you have to watch out for in the AFC. It's like everything's been kind of flipped upside down. Some of the good teams are still good, but those teams that really needed to rebuild are doing so very quickly so far.
I think, Eric, when you look at those 8 teams, the one thing you talk about the Jaguars fighting for their head coach, fighting with those guys out with injury, and the teams that are not doing that, the teams that are looking really bad, like we talked about in Shorts and Shells, are teams like the Chargers, Eagles, and Jets, the teams that have more talent than these teams, but they're not getting the jobs done on the field. And let's look at the player of the week. We didn't see any really gaudy stats by a lot of guys around the league. Peyton Manning had a pretty big night on Sunday against New Orleans, but your player of the week is on defense.
Well, it's a guy who's filled in. It's just been sort of the theme of the season so far for the New York Giants, who are pulling away in the NFC East, and that's Stevie Brown replacing Kenny Phillips. Has done a great job. He was outstanding in Week 8. 6 tackles, 2 interceptions, and I really felt like he influenced the 3rd. He also had a fumble recovery late that helped the Giants win in Dallas. So it's Stevie Brown, my player of the week. He's been a perfect example of the Giants needing performances from guys lower down on the roster.
You look at what the Giants are doing early this season, maybe they won't have to have that crazy rally at the end of the season to make the playoffs like we saw last year, and then they went on, of course, to win the Super Bowl. To see the rest of our spin cycles for each division, be sure to check out our website at profootballweekly.com.